So there's a new executive order out there that could literally put an expiration date on energy regulations here in the U.S. Today we're going to break down exactly what this thing, Executive Order 142070, is and how it might just completely reshape American energy policy.
Okay, just think about this for a second. What if government rules weren't permanent? What if they came with a built-in timer, forcing everyone to take a fresh look, or else they just, poof, disappear?
Well, that idea, it's not hypothetical anymore. It's actually the new reality for American energy policy. A document called Executive Order 14270 does exactly that, and we're going to dive into how it all works.
All right, so you might be asking, why? Why was this order even created? Well, if you look at Section 1, it paints this picture of a problem it calls, get this, a regime of governance by regulator.
And to give you a sense of the scale here, the order points to the Code of Federal Regulations. It says it's ballooned to nearly 200,000 pages. That's a lot of pages. The core argument is that with a mountain of rules that big, it's pretty much impossible for old, outdated stuff to ever get a second look.
And this isn't just about paperwork. The order claims his massive regulatory structure has real-world costs, slowing down energy production and innovation. It says, and this is a direct quote, "The result is an energy landscape perpetually trapped in the 1970s.
Okay, so if that's the problem they're trying to solve, what's the big solution? Well, the order's entire game plan is built around one key idea, something called sunset provisions.
This right here, this is the most important term you need to know, the conditional sunset date. Just think of it like a mandatory expiration date on a carton of milk, but for a regulation. The rule will literally, automatically cease to exist on this date unless the agency that created it steps in and actively decides to keep it around.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, the order sets up two different tracks. For every single existing energy regulation on the books right now, a one-year countdown clock just started ticking. But for any new regulations created from here on out, they have to be written with an expiration date baked right in, and it can't be more than 5 years.
What this does is create this constant cycle of review, right? As a rule gets close to its sunset date, the agency has to open it up for public comment. And based on that feedback, they're faced with a choice. Either they formally extend the rule for another term, up to 5 years, or they can just do nothing and let it expire. Gone.
Okay, so who exactly does this apply to? Which parts of the government are we talking about here? The order is actually really targeted.
And when I say targeted, I mean it's aimed at the heavy hitters in the energy and environmental world. We're talking about the big ones, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of Energy, and FERC. That's the commission that oversees all the interstate electricity and natural gas stuff. It even drills down into specific parts of the Department of the Interior. So yeah, the scope is pretty broad.
And here's where it gets really interesting. To make the impact feel more real, the order doesn't just name the agencies, it actually connects them to the major laws they enforce. This means that all the rules under huge laws like the Endangered Species Act, the Old Mining Act of 1872, and even the Atomic Energy Act, they're all now subject to these sunset provisions.
All right, let's take a step back. What's the big takeaway from all of this? The order's ultimate goal is to completely flip the default setting for federal regulations on its head.
The order actually gives this philosophy a name, zero-based regulating. And what that means is, instead of a rule just staying on the books forever by default, this system forces agencies to periodically re-justify every single covered regulation from scratch, from the ground up. The default is no longer, it stays. The new default is, it goes away.
I mean, this creates a really profound shift. It leaves us with this fundamental question about governance. What is the real impact of a system where all regulations must be constantly re-justified just to survive?